Nice to meet you all.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Hey,
How did you guys prepare and research for this role, Daniel and Phillip?
Yeah, I can take it first. I think for me, again, I think lots of Jake's journey was kind of like coming to terms and figuring things out as they kind of unroll. So for me, it was a lot simpler, I think, than probably for Phil, where I really particularly didn't want to do more research than I already had done in my personal life, so that I could just take it as it comes and kind of experiment with Phil on the day. So yeah, pretty easy on my end, but just kind of like making sure that I was open to the whole experience and open to wherever Phil and the characters were at the time.
I guess for me, having some like deep conversations with Sheridan about why he wrote it and why he wanted to tell this story, and then also hold on, I'm closing my window. And then also, I guess having personal connections with myself and with family and friends who have dealt with mental health issues, and kind of like wanting to um, navigate this kind of subject in a movie in the most honest and truthful way. And a lot of that has to do with just life experience and, connecting with Dan and connecting with Sheridan and just trying to find the humanity within that whole collaboration.
Sheridan, why did you want to tell this story and in this way?
I'll keep this as short as possible, but basically, yeah, when I was 24, one of my really good friends died by suicide, and a couple of years later, a close family member of mine attempted suicide and survived, and both of them were bipolar. And I up until then, my experience of suicide, I realized, was kind of informed by film and television. And I think the way it's often been portrayed is a sort of reactionary like thing where something devastating happens to you, and so you go and you kill yourself. But in the case of my friend and my family member, this was something that was like an everyday struggle with them, and I had never seen a film that had really authentically captured that. Um, and I just had so many feelings that I didn't understand and wanted to understand. And yeah, I set out to write something about it. And what I found to be the most unique thing was the vantage point in the film is of Dan's character Jake, because that was kind of my position in the story. Was, he's the little brother, he's kind of the passenger along for like Pete's experiences, and the audience therefore gets to sort of like ride along with somebody who's going through these emotions, and hopefully throughout the journey of the movie comes to better understand, Pete as a person, and by proxy people with mental health issues, or at least this kind of specific thing, because that was something I was very aware of too, and Phil and I talked a lot about, was there's no way to adequately represent the entire spectrum of mental health. We knew that we had to just tell the story of Pete and just tried to be honest to that. But that's some of the reason I wanted to make the film.
Yes. Phillip, you're an EP on the movie. Why did you want to take on that role as well as being a star of the film?
I don't know. I feel like that kind of organically happened. I think that especially with something like a project like this, if I'm gonna commit, I'm gonna like fully commit my heart and soul and everything I have. And I feel like it just became like a pretty deep collaboration, and hopefully I was helpful with my own what's the word I want to use? I guess just my own connections, having been in the business, and kind of I don't know. It's such an important story to me. And again, like so much of like the last like few years of my career, I'm really trying to like I've kind of navigated through like mental health stories, and I feel like it's really important to try to do it as honestly and like any way that I could help Sheridan succeed in his vision. I wanted to like jump on and help in any way I could, I guess. It feels like a more personal project than like just like another movie that you do or something.
Yeah. When do you, for each of you, when do you think Jake and Pete dynamic started of this little brother becoming a big brother in a sense?
I mean, I guess in my experience, if I kind of enter into that space, I think a lot of these dynamics start from a pretty young age. I think my dynamic with my brother, became pretty apparent very, very quickly on into our relationship. I think the complexities of it kind of develop over time as you see somebody struggle with certain things or succeed in certain things. I think a lot of it comes down to his personality of how they approach specific life, general kind of aspects that like society or the kind of the culture that you live in kind of represents and then asks from you, and then how you kind of are able to sit within that. And so the idea of little brother, older brother, so much of that comes down to, I think, authority or being able to sit in comfort and kind of confidence within how you kind of go through life and be able to be someone that gives kind of advice to somebody and or to somebody that you love. And so I think it's this much broader thing than just an actual brotherly relationship. It's so much of kind of seeing how each other moves through their lives and trying to support that as best as possible. And then I think obviously for Jake, despite what Pete says in the film, I think he still looks up to his brother in so many ways. So I don't think it's this thing of the dynamic completely being reversed. I think both of them feel like they're getting a lot from the other, despite the kind of conflicts that they also have.
And it's funny, it's like so tricky, like family dynamics. I feel like, everyone like plays their role. And so much, at least for me, like as you get older with your own siblings or something, it's like, oh, I'm the person that like does this and you do this. And like you're the one that's always doing this. And then just like questioning, like, because that's how you fit within under one roof with your parents and how they, how everyone just kind of like creates an ensemble of a family or something, and then try to like see what dynamics are true and what dynamics are like, oh no, like, like maybe it's reversed, or maybe, we can give each other certain things, and it's not like to like try to figure out who you are outside of the label of like your family gives you is interesting. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I totally agree what they say, and I guess the one thing I'll add is just that dynamic came from a very personal experience. I have three siblings. I'm the middle child. I have a younger brother and an older brother and an older sister. And so their relationship is kind of a crazy amalgam of like all my siblings and my relationships to them. And the core of it was really based on me and my older brother's relationship, that like I was the younger brother and I did feel like at some point I felt like the older brother. But what I've learned and writing the film, making the film and experiencing the film is that I wrote the film kind of questioning, like, why am I trying to impose my worldview on my older brother? Because I was always calling him and saying, you need to be getting up and doing this and doing that. And it was through writing the film that I really understood, like, I need to let my brother be my brother. And since then, there have been so many moments in my life where I'm out in Los Angeles and I think I have my shit together. And my sister is living back in my hometown and she has two kids. And I'll call her up and I'm like, I don't know who I am and where I am. And she has so much wisdom and insight that she brings to me that I'm so grateful for. And so that's kind of what I love about the movie, is that you're always sort of with Jake, then you're with Pete, then Jake's on top, then Pete's on top, then you're, and that's how my family is and my life is. And I think maybe a lot of families are like.
Yeah.
Also, it's funny when like this movie was cast, I'm 6 feet tall, and Dan, how tall are you, like 6'4" or something?
Around that, yeah.
He's huge. And so like just literally like it was so funny too. And just as an actor, it's like there's not many like 6'4" actors out there. So it was also just funny getting in a room with him, and he's playing my little brother and he's just like so much bigger than I am. Which was another like meta funny thing that it does inform you know, the scenes and stuff.
No, I did not know that you were 6 foot. I'm like, oh, he's probably like 5'8" because
I
I did
know, you
not
make
know
me
that you
look
were
so
six
short in
foot.
this movie, man.
How did you guys develop like this brotherly bond, like on and off set, so that you're able to portray that on screen? Because most of the time it's just you two, and J.K. Simmons kind of calls you every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, on my end, it was just so natural. Like there was no effort at all to try and bond. It just existed immediately. It was really just like a beautiful thing. And I think with most of the people that are special in my life, it's kind of been a similar thing of just you kind of meet somebody and you just instantly click and you understand each other, and communication's easy and you feel like you're seen, and hopefully they feel the same thing. And so with this, I don't know. Phil's been like the best kind of scene partner, but also friend, and we've been able to stay in touch. And I don't know. I think there's see the world very, very similarly in lots of ways, and then the differences just complement each other. And so it's been an incredible journey. And I think luckily for us, it happened really, really quickly. So kind of was able to kind of seep into the film pretty early on.
And also for a film like this, I think, especially, you know, dealing with what it deals with and pretty much being a two-person movie, um, uh, you have to like make an agreement to like vulnerably trust and open yourself to the other person and really kind of like completely give over to them. And I think that we both kind of made that like emotional agreement to like trust each other. And so much of the movie is just me, you know, I think us clinging on to each other in a beautiful way, which, yeah, beautiful experience. Thank God. Like, you
Totally.
know, it would be a very different movie if you know if you I was working with someone who was really protected or who I didn't feel safe with. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a mixtape in the movie, a mix CD. Um, what songs would be on this mix CD if we had an unlimited music budget?
Sheridan, how would you take that one?
For so what would be in the movie, if like what would I put in the movie, not in my personal like road trip mixtape?
Oh,
I think in the movie, the only thing I can say, and one of my producers, Dylan Matlock, I wrote the movie, and Pete is 34 years old in the film. I'm trying to remember, 33, 34. So he's a little older than me when I made the film. And it was so clear to me that I wanted him to be somebody who was like trapped in the early 90s. And that specific era of like early 90s alternative, like kind of sad male rock and roll was in my head, was on the playlist that I was writing to. But then it occurred to me when I had to start scoring the film and picking cues and stuff, that I was like, oh, I wasn't really, I was born in 1989. Like, I don't know what was really happening. And so I leaned on Phil and my producer, Dylan Matlock, and they have exceptional taste in music. And so they kind of gave me a crash course education on that music. But it would be like, I mean, we have an incredible, we have Beck in the film and Wilco and
Will Oldham.
yeah, Will Oldham is in the film as well. So like a lot of the people that we wanted to get, we got. It was like that kind of very niche thing that I thought would just give the film a certain, separate it a little bit musically.
Daniel and Phillip, what would be on your road trip playlist?
I mean, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. I really don't think I could name a single artist for you. I listen to everything, so I'd be depending on the mood, depending on the day, depending on the road trip partner. I listen to everything: pop, rock, sad, alternative, indie music, EDM. So I think it'd be a kind of a mix of everything to kind of make sure that I stay stimulated enough to stay awake on the road trip. I think is the main goal there. But no, I listen to everybody, so I don't think that I'd be able to pick and choose. How would you feel?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely veer towards lyrically driven emo music. Uh if you're not naming anyone, I won't either. But I will say that kind of music, I can drive for a really long time, especially by myself. And sometimes if I make a huge playlist, I will drive. I sometimes to a job like 10 hours away, and I'll be like arriving in the town, and I'll be like, "Fuck, I didn't finish my playlist." Like I can like drive extra just to keep finishing it because sometimes it puts me in such a like reflective place. But a lot of like alternative and also like singer songwriter lyrically driven type stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Congrats on this movie, and I look forward to talking to you guys about future projects.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much, Arana. It's nice to meet
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You
Yeah.
too.